Ahoy folks, Lazy Gamer here with another King of Games tech review. This time being on Crystron's, which was released in the Cybernetic Rebellion box, with the box opening in another video linked in the description. I'm going to do this deck review differently here, yet still try to provide as much information as possible. This is due to the average watch times for these KoG deck reviews being around 3 to 5 minutes, so it seems like much of what I have been doing previously isn't necessary. That being going through the descriptions of each card in example duels. So I'm going to cut down on that and instead just give you guys a quick run through. You folks can pause and grab the list of cards while they cycle on screen with their descriptions. If you don't mind, I'd appreciate your feedback on this review compared to previous ones, whether you preferred past descriptions, possibly combined with something introduced here. As for this build, it went up against the current meta decently, being 6 Sams, Red Eyes, Subterra in the lot, though it was a grind totaling 275 games this season. Mind you, 2 out of the 3 streams I was on the ladder, I was already up for over 24 hours, so that might have been a factor, just saying. And also got the KoG run in the description too if you'd like to check it out. The character used were the Paradox brothers, running Labyrinth Builder as a skill, which assists in getting into synchros like Black Rose Dragon and the boss monsters for Crystron's being Quarion Gandrax. Also why there's 2 copies of Deep Sea Diva in this build, getting into the 9-star synchro a bit easily and quickly. Deep Sea Diva, Nightbeam, and all of the Crystron cards can be obtained from the Cybernetic Rebellion box, while Scrap Recycler can be farmed at the gate by Duel and Esperoba, and Treacherous Trapple being in the Visions of Ice mini box. In the extra deck, the 2 synchro cards not in the Cybernetic Rebellion box are Black Rose Dragon, which is in the Blazing Rose box, and Powered in Zektron being in Secrets of the Ancients mini box. For the most part, it seems like you'd want to play Crystrons more defensively as a counter in response to whatever your opponent is playing. Initially taking your first turn to just set up follow-up plays, usually being to get out a Citri with a Smiger or Scrap Recycler in the grave to synchro into Amatrix. Ideally, you'd want to go into Amatrix during your opponent's battle phase after any special summons took place. Before going any further, I'd like to mention all the synchro possibilities with this deck, beginning with Citri. Its effect is to special summon another non-tuner monster from your grave during your opponent's turn to synchro into a machine-type monster. Rion, being another Crystron tuner, does the same thing, except instead of special summoning from the grave, it special summons from your banished pile. With that in mind, it's key to note Citri combos with Smiger and Scrap Recycler to get into Amatrix, also with Rosenix to get into Powered in Zektron or White Aura Dolphin, and Sylphefnir to get into Black Rose Dragon, or with another 2-star tuner to get into Gandrax. As for the other tuner Rion, it combos with Praseordal to synchro into Amatrix, also with Smiger or Scrap Recycler to get into Inzektron or Dolphin, and with Rosenix for Black Rose Dragon, or also comboed with Crystron entry correctly into Gandrax with another tuner on the field as well. Note that you can only synchro into Black Rose and Dolphin during your turn, and only if you haven't used Smiger's, Rosenix's, or Praseordal's effect of special summoning a Crystron tuner from the deck. Get those combos down and keep track of what's in your grave and what's banished, and you'll be off to a solid start. From the Amatrix play, you're either attacking or going into other synchros like a potential combo of Black Rose followed by a Gandrax. You can take the risk at times and push for game by synchro summoning prior to the opponent's moves, but I'd suggest doing so sparingly, only when you know or feel you've got a better chance at getting game by doing so as opposed to regretting it later. As a few examples of how I play the deck, here's a matchup against Cyberdark Neos, the opponent setting up a Ling Ling in the grave with Neos with what I'm guessing is a Bacon face down and a back row. Thankfully top decked into a Nightbeam, the single copy, popping the opponent's back row, though only being a Cosmic Cyclone, followed up by a Labyrinth wall, keeping Diva in hand to get right into Gandrax, while Smiger would have been the next turn play for either setting up an Amatrix or in this case getting away with 2 attacks. This being an ideal and smooth matchup with how it went, top decking the Diva and Nightbeam to kick things off. Another ideal starting hand would be with Scrap Recycler and Crystrons in hand, preferably Smiger or Praseordal in this build to use Sulph's effect on. In this matchup I milled the second Sulph into the grave after normal summoning the Scrap Recycler, then use Sulph's effect on Smiger in hand, milling it to the grave to then bring out Praseordal. Its effect is used to pop Recycler to the grave and bring out a Crystron tuner being Citri, able to synchro with another non-tuner monster to bring out Amatrix in this case, and bringing out different Crystrons as well to use their additional effects as follow-ups, so like Praseordal to special summon a Crystron from the hand. This duel came to getting into Gandrax, banishing the opponent's field, getting hit back into an Amatrix with a Treacherous to pop my own monsters at the end of it to get game with Sulf. Now, something you may see a fair bit of when starting out would be this. The timer running down to 0 cost a game. Happened to me a few times too during the ladder run, as seen here, but it's about getting that practicing and getting sharp towards the combos possible, thinking them through and executing them quickly, as the timer does tick down with this deck, even with just setting up plays, let alone deciding on the right one to make. While not usually the case, it is still possible to break with this build, starting with hands like Praseordal and tuners or the back row in hand, forcing you to play slow with sets, at times costing game too, but RNG is a part of it. I've seen a number of deck lists towards Crystrons, some running beatdown or level augmentation for skills with different cards, some utilizing the 1-star tuner and running triple Crystron entry instead of Tretch, or only have one Sulf in the build, all of which can definitely work as well in terms of replacements or variety. I'd say mess around with the options and run with what you feel works best, and certainly feel free to share your builds too, if willing, down in the comments below. If you have any questions too, by all means, I'll get back to each and every one of you. I hope this was of some benefit and I appreciate you tuning in. I'll catch you in the next one. Toot toot.